When I say living your best post, I'm not talking about a picture perfect life or a highlight reel you share online. I'm talking about living your best existence every single day, the kind that feels powerful, purposeful, and alive from the inside out. Because at the end of the day, your life is your message. Every moment, every action, every word you post into the world, whether online or in reality, is shaping your legacy. There are 5 keys that will unlock this version of you. And when you master them, your life doesn't just change, it transforms. Key fluency and clarity creates power. You cannot hit a target you can't see. You cannot live your best life if you don't even know what that life looks like. Most people wander through their days reacting, responding, hoping that somehow their situation will improve. But hope is not a strategy. Clarity is. You've got to define it in detail. What does your best life look like? What does it feel like? What kind of energy do you bring when you wake up? What kind of person do you become when challenges hit? You need to create that vision so vividly in your mind that your body, your emotions, your habits have no choice but to align with it. Clarity gives direction. Direction gives momentum. And momentum gives fulfillment. You don't get what you want. You get what you're absolutely clear about and emotionally committed to. Clarity creates power because without a clear direction, your life becomes a reaction instead of a creation. Most people wake up and drift through their days, responding to circumstances, reacting to other people's demands, chasing things that don't even align with who they truly are. They wonder why they feel lost, unmotivated, or stuck. It's not because they lack potential, it's because they lack clarity. When you don't know exactly what you want, every road seems uncertain, every opportunity feels confusing, and every challenge looks like a dead end. But the moment you define your vision, the moment you decide with absolute certainty what kind of life you want to live, everything changes. You stop wandering and start creating. You stop hoping and start doing. You begin to take control of your story. Clarity is power because it acts like a laser. A scattered beam of light has little impact, but when you focus that same energy into a single point, it can cut through steel. Your mind works the same way. When you focus all your thoughts, energy, and emotions toward a single purpose, the universe moves to support you. The problem is most people live in a fog. They have vague goals like, I want to be successful, I want to be happy, or I want more money. But they never define what that actually means. Success to one person could mean freedom, to another it could mean contribution, and to someone else it could mean peace of mind. Without clarity, your brain doesn't know what to pursue. It's like typing, take me somewhere nice, into a GPS. You'll never get there because there's no destination. When you become clear, your decisions get easier. You stop being distracted by what's shiny or convenient. You start saying no to what doesn't fit your vision. Clarity creates focus, and focus builds momentum. Think about a time when you were absolutely certain about something, a relationship you wanted, a goal you had to achieve, a skill you were determined to learn. In those moments, doubt didn't hold you back, fear didn't paralyze you, and you were pulled forward by purpose. That's the energy clarity gives you. It eliminates hesitation. It destroys confusion. It tells your mind and body, this is what matters. Let's move. But clarity doesn't just come from thinking, it comes from deciding. Most people wait for clarity before they act, but it's through action that clarity is born. You can't discover your vision by sitting in silence waiting for inspiration. You find it by stepping forward, trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Life rewards movement. The more you engage, the more feedback you receive, and that feedback sharpens your vision. Every experience teaches you what you want more of and what you'll never settle for again. That's how clarity evolves, from experience, from awareness, from growth. Clarity also requires honesty. You have to strip away the expectations of others, the noise of society, the labels you've been carrying. You must ask yourself the uncomfortable questions. What do I really want? What do I actually value? What am I willing to sacrifice for? It's not about what looks good on paper or what makes others proud. It's about what ignites you. When you're brutally honest with yourself, you begin to see what's real. And when you see what's real, you gain direction. Your mind has an incredible filtering system called the reticular activating system, or RAS. It's what decides what you notice and what you ignore. If you've ever bought a new car and suddenly started seeing that same car everywhere, that's your RAS in action. The truth is, those cars were always there. You just weren't focused on them. The same principle applies to opportunity. When you get clear on what you want, your brain starts noticing resources, people, and possibilities that were always around you. Clarity activates awareness. Awareness leads to opportunity, and opportunity leads to transformation. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff in the fog. You can't see what's ahead, so you hesitate to move. But as the fog clears, the path reveals itself, and suddenly you have confidence to take the next step. That's what clarity does. It removes the fog from your mind. It turns uncertainty into direction and fear into faith. You don't need to know the entire road. You just need to see the next few steps clearly. Clarity is also emotional. It's not just about setting goals. It's about attaching feelings to them. Your mind doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion. When you imagine your future with vivid emotion, your brain treats it like reality. That's why visualization is so powerful. When you see yourself living your best life, feeling proud, strong, fulfilled, your subconscious mind starts finding ways to make it happen. You begin acting like the person you want to become. You start thinking from the future instead of the past. And that shift in perspective changes everything. But clarity requires discipline. You have to protect it from distraction. Every day, you're bombarded with messages telling you what you should want. Advertisements, opinions, trends. If you don't guard your focus, you'll start chasing someone else's dream. Clarity demands solitude, reflection, and commitment. It means creating time to disconnect from noise and reconnect with your vision. The clearer you are, the less you'll be swayed by the chaos around you. Clarity also builds confidence. When you know who you are and what you want, self-doubt loses its power. You stop second-guessing yourself because you've already decided what matters. You stop comparing because you understand your path is unique. Confidence doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from knowing your direction. Every small win, every step forward reinforces your belief that you're capable. Think of your life as a masterpiece being painted. Every stroke you make represents a decision, an action, a moment. Without clarity, your brush moves aimlessly and the picture becomes chaotic. But when you know exactly what image you want to create, every stroke has intention. You begin to paint with purpose. You begin to build a life that reflects your truth. The challenge is clarity is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. You have to revisit it, refine it, and reconnect with it. Life changes, you grow, and your vision evolves. What was clear 5 years ago might not inspire you today. So you must continually ask, what do I want now? What matters most now? The more often you ask, the more aligned you stay. When you live with clarity, your energy shifts. You walk differently and talk differently, make decisions differently. You attract people and opportunities that match your vibration. You stop tolerating what drains you and start pursuing what fuels you. You realize that life isn't happening to you. It's responding to the clarity you project. Every leader, every visionary, every person who's ever created lasting impact started with a clear vision. They didn't wait for permission. They decided. They defined their outcome so clearly that nothing could distract them from it. That same power lives in you. You just have to claim it. Because clarity doesn't just give you direction, it gives you power. It gives you energy, purpose, and confidence. It turns ordinary moments into steps towards something extraordinary. It transforms confusion into conviction and hesitation into unstoppable action. When you know who you are, what you stand for, and what you're moving toward, your entire world begins to shift around you. Key faith to a shift from limitation to possibility. The difference between a person who thrives and one who merely survives is the story they tell themselves. You can write the most beautiful post about life, but if the story running in your head says, I'm not enough, or it's too late, then your actions will follow that belief. You must learn to interrupt the pattern of limitation. Every time your mind says, I can't, you must ask, what if I could? Every time you think it's over, you ask, what could this become? When you shift your focus from what's missing to what's possible, everything changes because energy flows where attention goes. Focus on the lack and you'll live in scarcity. Focus on growth and your mind will find ways to expand. Life doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you believe is possible for you. Shift from limitation to possibility because the story you tell yourself every day determines the quality of your life. Most people live inside invisible walls they've built in their own minds, trapped not by circumstance, but by belief. They say things like, I can't do that. I don't have what it takes. It's too late for me. Or people like me don't get those chances. These aren't truths. They're habits of thought. They're mental cages that keep potential locked away. The greatest prison you will ever live in is the one built by your own excuses. But the moment you change the story, the moment you shift from limitation to possibility, everything opens. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who stays stuck isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's perspective. When something goes wrong, one person says, this is the end, and another says, this is the beginning. One sees a wall, the other sees a door waiting to be discovered. Your perception becomes your reality because the human brain will always find evidence to support what you believe. If you believe you're limited, you'll find proof everywhere. If you believe something is possible, your mind will begin searching for ways to make it real. The filter changes. The energy changes. The results change. Every limitation starts as a thought. Every possibility begins as a decision. There was a time when humans believed flying was impossible, that running a mile under 4 minutes was impossible, that talking across the world instantly was impossible. Every one of those impossibilities was shattered by someone who refused to accept the limits of common belief. And the moment you start questioning the limits you've inherited from your past, from your environment, from fear itself, you begin rewriting the script of your life. The mind has a powerful tendency to protect you from discomfort. When you face something uncertain or challenging, it whispers, stay safe. Don't risk it. But safety and growth cannot coexist. The walls you build to protect yourself also keep out your potential. Growth begins the moment you step into uncertainty and act anyway. The greatest breakthroughs happen when you lean into what scares you, because fear often marks the boundary between the life you have and the life you're meant to live. Shifting from limitation to possibility doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending problems don't exist. It means choosing a different meaning for them. When something painful happens, you can either label it as punishment or preparation. You can either see it as proof that you're not enough or evidence that life is training you for more. The story determines your strength. If you tell yourself, this is happening for me, not to me, you immediately take back your power. Suddenly, you're no longer a victim of circumstance, you're a creator of outcomes. Possibility begins with language. Listen to the words you use daily. Words like, I can't, I should, I'll try, weaken your energy because they carry hesitation. Replace them with, I will, I choose. I'm committed. The moment you shift your language, your physiology follows. Your body aligns with conviction. The way you move, the way you breathe, the way you think begins to change. You start to embody certainty. And certainty is the birthplace of possibility. When you believe something is possible, your brain activates a different network, a part designed for problem solving and creativity. You start noticing opportunities you missed before. Conversations connect differently. People appear who can help you. It feels almost magical, but it's not magic, it's focus. You've redirected your mental spotlight toward growth instead of fear. What you look for, you find. What you focus on expands. Think about a time you accomplished something you once doubted. Maybe you started a business, overcame a challenge, or broke a personal barrier. In the beginning, you probably questioned yourself, but somewhere along the journey, you shifted from, I can't to I must. That shift wasn't luck. It was a conscious decision to believe something greater was possible. That moment changed your trajectory. It proved that belief is the ignition switch of transformation. Limiting beliefs often come from old experiences. Maybe you failed once and your brain decided failure meant finality. Maybe someone told you that you weren't enough and you accepted it as truth, but those beliefs are outdated. They were formed by an older version of you who didn't have the strength, awareness, or knowledge you have now. You are not your past, and you are the meaning you assign to it. Every painful event can become a source of power when you extract the lesson instead of the limitation. Imagine two people facing the same setback. One says, "This proves I'm not good enough." And the other says, "This is feedback. I'm getting stronger." One stops. The other grows. The event is identical, but the outcome is determined by perspective. Life will test you, no doubt about that. But those tests are not to break you. They are to reveal the strength you didn't know you had. Shifting to possibility requires awareness. You have to catch yourself in the act of limitation. Notice when your thoughts drift toward fear or doubt. Pause and question them. Ask, is this thought empowering me or imprisoning me? Does it come from fear or from truth? Most of the time, you'll realize the limitation isn't real. It's a projection of past pain or future worry. Once you see that, you can replace it with a better thought, a stronger belief, a higher standard. Possibility lives in questions. Instead of saying, "I can't," ask, "How can I?" Instead of "This is impossible," ask, "What would it take?" Questions direct your focus, and focus directs your destiny. Every time you ask a powerful question, you unlock a door in your mind that leads to a new level of thinking. The quality of your life depends on the quality of questions you're willing to ask yourself. Surrounding yourself with possibility also matters. You become like the energy you keep. Spend time around people who talk about vision, not limitation, growth, not gossip, solutions, not excuses. And the environment you immerse yourself in can either reinforce your fears or fuel your faith. Choose an environment that expands you, because if you stay around people who live in limitation, eventually you'll forget what possibility even feels like. When you shift into possibility, you begin to lead your life instead of follow it. You start setting your own rules instead of living by someone else's. You start realizing that there's always a way, as long as you're willing to look for it. Obstacles become challenges to solve instead of reasons to quit, and every challenge overcome becomes another brick in the foundation of your confidence. Possibility thinking isn't blind optimism. It's intelligent faith. It's believing that even if you don't know how yet, you will figure it out. It's trusting that every skill can be learned, every problem has a solution, and every limitation can be transcended with enough persistence, creativity, and courage. It's about acting before you have all the answers, because clarity grows through movement. It's choosing faith over fear, action over analysis, progress over perfection. There's power in the word yet. When you say, "I can't do this," it ends the story. When you say, "I can't do this yet," it opens the story. That single word keeps the door to growth unlocked. It reminds you that everything you've ever mastered was once something you couldn't do. The gap between impossible and possible is effort, belief, and time. Possibility starts as a whisper. It's that quiet voice inside you that says, "What if you could?" That voice is your potential trying to speak through the noise of fear. Listen to it, feed it, strengthen it until it drowns out doubt, because the more you believe in possibility, the more possibilities believe in you. When you wake up each morning, you have a choice to focus on your limitations or your opportunities. One keeps you stuck, the other sets you free. One makes you small, the other makes you powerful. The shift doesn't happen overnight, but it begins the moment you decide to stop living as a prisoner of your old beliefs and start living as the author of your new story. The moment you replace "I can't" with "I will find a way," the world begins to respond differently to you. Life expands to meet the size of your belief. K-Fenny3, master your emotional state. You can have all the knowledge, all the resources, all the tools. But if your emotional state is weak, your performance will always suffer. You cannot live your best life from a place of fear, doubt, or frustration. You have to learn to command your state, not be a slave to it. Every emotion is a signal. Fear says, prepare. Anger says, change something. Sadness says, value what's missing. The problem is, most people stay stuck in their emotions instead of using them as fuel. You've got to condition your body and mind to return to power. No matter what, move your body differently, breathe deeper, speak differently. Use your physiology to shift your psychology. Because when you raise your energy, you raise your life. Living your best post means posting from power, showing up in your relationships, your business, your purpose with a sense of unstoppable energy that inspires others just by your presence. Master your emotional state, because every decision you make, every action you take, every relationship you build, and every dream you chase is driven by emotion. You can have all the intelligence, all the strategies, and all the resources in the world, but if your emotional state is weak, your performance will always fall short. Success isn't just about what you know, it's about how you feel while you're doing what you know. Emotion is the invisible force that shapes your destiny. When you're in a peak state, you act differently, think differently, move differently, and attract differently. When your emotions are low, everything feels heavier, harder, and slower. The secret to mastery in life is the ability to control your inner world regardless of what's happening in the outer one. Most people live in reaction to their emotions instead of command of them. They wake up tired, check their phone, see something negative, and immediately hand over their emotional power to the world around them. A message, a post, a piece of news can ruin their day because they've never trained themselves to lead their emotions. They let their emotions lead them. But here's the truth. Emotion is a choice, not a condition. You don't have to wait for something to change outside you to feel different inside. You can generate the emotion you want at any moment. And when you learn how to do that, you become unstoppable. The first step to mastering your emotional state is awareness. You can't change what you don't recognize. You must become the observer of your own mind. Notice what triggers you, what drains you, and what lifts you. Notice how your posture, your breathing, your tone shift when you feel discouraged or powerful. Most people don't realize how much their physiology controls their psychology. When you slump your shoulders, look down, and breathe shallowly, your brain receives the signal that you're defeated. But when you stand tall, expand your chest, breathe deeply, and move with intention, your brain receives the signal that you're in charge. The fastest way to change your emotion is to change your motion. Move your body, and your mind will follow. Your emotional state is like a thermostat. If it's set low, you'll unconsciously sabotage anything that exceeds that level of comfort. If you're used to living in anxiety, happiness will feel unfamiliar and unsafe, so you'll find ways to return to stress. But if you raise your emotional standard, if you decide that joy, strength, confidence, and gratitude are your defaults, your subconscious will adjust to match it. You can train your nervous system to live at a higher vibration by conditioning it daily. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about mastering the habit of returning to power no matter what happens. Emotion is energy in motion. It needs to flow. Suppress it, and it becomes tension. Ignore it, and it becomes chaos. Express it intelligently, and it becomes strength. Too many people resist their emotions, thinking that strength means not feeling. But true mastery isn't the absence of emotion. It's the ability to feel fully without being controlled by it. When anger rises, channel it into determination. When fear appears, turn it into focus. When sadness comes, let it remind you of your capacity to love deeply. Every emotion has a purpose if you're willing to listen to it. You must understand that emotions are not random. They are feedback. They tell you whether your needs are being met or not. If you feel fear, it's a signal to prepare. If you feel frustration, it's a signal that you believe you can do better. If you feel gratitude, it's a signal that your heart is open. Instead of judging your emotions as good or bad, start using them as a navigation system. Ask yourself, What is this emotion trying to teach me? What action can I take to move toward empowerment? That shift turns emotion into fuel instead of friction. To master your emotional state, and you have to break emotional patterns. Everyone has emotional habits. Some people live in anxiety, others live in joy. Some wake up feeling hopeful. Others start the day already overwhelmed. These patterns become identities, stories like, I'm just a stressed person, or I'm just not confident. But those aren't identities. They're habits you've repeated so often they feel real. To change your emotional life, you must interrupt these patterns. The moment you notice a disempowering emotion, move your body differently, speak differently, breathe differently. Interrupt the pattern before it takes root. The brain loves repetition, so if you practice shifting your state daily, you'll condition power instead of weakness. Music, movement, and meaning are three powerful tools for emotional mastery. Music can instantly change your state because it connects directly to emotion. Move your body while listening to something that inspires you, and you'll feel energy rise. But the deepest change comes from meaning, the interpretation you give to events. Nothing in life has meaning until you assign it one. The same event can make one person crumble and another person rise depending on the meaning they attach to it. If you choose empowering meanings, you'll experience empowering emotions. You can decide that pain means growth, that failure means feedback, that endings mean new beginnings. Your meaning becomes your mood, and your mood becomes your momentum. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotional states you can live in because it destroys fear. You cannot be angry and grateful at the same time. You cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. When you focus on what's missing, you feel scarcity. When you focus on what's present, you feel abundance. Gratitude trains your brain to look for good, even in difficult moments. And what you look for, you find. Living with gratitude doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing to focus on what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. One of the most important skills in emotional mastery is emotional recovery. Everyone experiences setbacks, disappointments, and failures. The difference between people who stay stuck and those who rise is how quickly they recover. You don't need to avoid negative emotions. You just need to shorten the time you stay in them. The faster you can shift from frustration to focus, from doubt to determination, the more progress you'll make. That recovery speed determines your growth speed. Emotion is contagious. The energy you carry affects everyone around you. Walk into a room with confidence and people feel it. Walk in with anxiety and people absorb it. The more you master your own state, the more influence you have. Leaders, parents, teachers, entrepreneurs all succeed when they can elevate not just their own emotions, but the emotions of others. When you can shift from chaos to calm, from fear to faith, you become the anchor in the storm. The body is the bridge between emotion and mind. That's why rituals are vital. Morning routines, breathing exercises, meditation, movement, affirmations. These are not just self-help trends. They are ways of training your nervous system to begin the day in control instead of in chaos. If you start your day checking your phone, you give your state to the world. But if you start by grounding your mind and body, you create emotional certainty before the day begins. That certainty becomes your foundation for power. Every emotion has a frequency, and your life mirrors the frequency you live at. If you live in anger, you attract conflict. If you live in gratitude, you attract peace. If you live in confidence, you attract opportunity. Emotion is the language of the subconscious mind, and it's always communicating with the world around you. When you learn to command it, you start attracting experiences that match your internal vibration. You become the cause instead of the effect. Mastering your emotional state is not about controlling the world. It's about controlling your response to it. It's realizing that no one can make you feel inferior, defeated, or hopeless unless you give them permission. You have the power to choose meaning, to choose focus, to choose energy. The same storm that breaks one person strengthens another. The difference is emotional mastery. There's a version of you that exists in full power, calm, focused, passionate, grounded. That version is not created in the absence of problems. It's revealed when you choose to rise above them. The power to transform your life is already inside you. It's in the way you manage your emotions in the moments that matter most. Key 24Z, take massive, aligned action. Dreams without action are delusions. Every result in your life, good or bad, is the result of consistent action or consistent inaction. If you want change, you must move. But not just any movement, aligned movement. The kind of action that matches your deepest values and your clearest vision. So many people wait for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment is now. The only time you have control is now. The only power you have is in the step you take today. Progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from momentum. When you act in alignment with who you want to become, every decision becomes a declaration of identity. Every choice becomes a message to yourself. This is who I am. That's how confidence is built, not from talking, but from doing. Take massive aligned action because dreams without execution are hallucinations. The world is filled with people who talk about what they're going to do someday, who plan, who hope, who wait for the right moment, but never move. They convince themselves that thinking about it is the same as doing it, that preparing endlessly is progress, but it's not. Action is the bridge between intention and reality. Until you take that first step, your vision is nothing more than imagination. The difference between those who wish and those who achieve is simple. One group waits for certainty, the other acts in the face of uncertainty. Massive action doesn't mean doing everything at once. It means moving forward with energy, purpose, and consistency. It means refusing to let fear or perfectionism stop you. Most people hesitate because they want to know every step before they start. They want guarantees that it will all work out. But life doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards movement. The road only reveals itself as you walk it. Momentum is built by motion, not by waiting for clarity. The faster you act, the faster you learn, and the faster you can adjust. The path to mastery is paved by mistakes, lessons, and course corrections, not by idle thought. Aligned action is different from random action. Many people are busy but not effective. And they confuse movement with progress, doing 100 things that lead nowhere because those actions aren't connected to purpose. Aligned action means every step, every choice, every effort is directed toward your vision. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. It's about acting from intention, not impulse. When your actions are aligned with your deepest values and clearest goals, even small steps become powerful. Each action compounds into momentum, and momentum becomes transformation. To take massive, aligned action, you have to decide. Decision is the ultimate power. Most people never commit fully. They leave back doors open in their mind. They say, I'll try, which means I'm not sure. But nothing great was ever built on uncertainty. The moment you decide with total conviction, you unleash energy you didn't know you had. The universe responds to decisiveness. The second you say, this is happening, your mind starts finding ways to make it happen. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop waiting for permission. You begin to act like the person you want to become instead of the person you've been. Action breaks fear. You cannot think your way out of fear. You can only move through it. Every step you take in the direction of your goal weakens fear's grip. The longer you wait, the louder your doubts become. The antidote to overthinking is action. Action creates evidence. When you act, you prove to yourself that you can. That proof builds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle of growth. You start small, but as you move, you gain strength, clarity, and momentum. What once looked impossible begins to feel inevitable. The truth is, the first step is always the hardest because it breaks inertia. But once you move, once you begin, energy builds. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step with faith. That one step changes your state, your focus, and your reality. It transforms someday into today. Progress comes from repetition, from doing something consistently even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the muscle that turns dreams into results. Every action, no matter how small, compounds over time. Consistency beats intensity when intensity fades. Massive action means acting even when you don't feel ready. Because the truth is, you never truly feel ready. The mind will always find a reason to delay, too tired, too busy, too uncertain. If you wait for perfect conditions, you'll wait forever. The perfect moment is a myth. The only perfect moment is the one you create by acting now. Start before you're ready, learn as you go, and trust that momentum will carry you further than fear ever could. The people who achieve extraordinary results aren't the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who are willing to figure it out on the way. Aligned action also means working smart, not just hard. Hard work without direction can drain you, but focused work multiplies your effort. Before you act, get clear on your outcome. Ask yourself, is this moving me closer to my vision or distracting me from it? Every choice has energy attached to it. When you choose actions that align with your values, you feel alive, motivated, and connected. When you act out of fear or obligation, you feel drained and resentful. Your intuition knows the difference. Learn to trust it. But alignment isn't passive. It doesn't mean waiting for everything to feel right before you act. It means acting from integrity while adjusting along the way. Sometimes you'll move forward and realize the direction needs correction. That's okay. Aligned action is a dance between vision and feedback. You take a step, assess the result, and adapt. Flexibility is part of mastery. Rigidity keeps people stuck. Adaptability keeps them progressing. The key is to keep moving while staying true to what matters most. Every person who has achieved something extraordinary has one thing in common. They acted long before they felt certain. They took risks, faced rejection, made mistakes, and kept going. They understood that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every failure gives feedback. Every setback sharpens strategy. You cannot avoid struggle, but you can use it. Pain becomes power when you channel it into progress. The people who win are not those who never fall. They're those who never stop getting up. Procrastination is one of the biggest killers of dreams, and it disguises itself as logic. The mind says, I'll start when I have more time, or I'll do it when things calm down. But time doesn't create change. Commitment does. If it matters, you make time. If it doesn't, you make excuses. Every moment you delay is a moment your dream drifts further away. The clock is ticking whether you move or not. The only difference is what you'll have to show for it when time passes. Massive action means refusing to let hesitation dictate your destiny. To sustain action, you must connect it to emotion. Logic motivates temporarily, but emotion drives permanently. You need a reason that moves your soul. Ask yourself, why does this matter to me? Who will I become by doing this? What will it cost me if I don't? When your why is strong enough, your how reveals itself. Emotion turns effort into fuel. It makes discipline feel like devotion. Accountability amplifies action. Share your goals with people who will hold you to your highest standard, not your comfort zone. Surround yourself with those who push you to act when you feel like stopping. Environment is stronger than willpower. If you want to rise, place yourself in rooms where action is normal, not exceptional. Energy is contagious. Be around people who make you believe more, do more, and expect more from yourself. Taking massive aligned action doesn't mean you'll never doubt yourself. It means you act even when doubt whispers in your ear. It means you keep moving when the results aren't immediate, when the progress feels slow, when the outcome isn't certain. It's trusting that every step matters, every effort compounds, every moment counts. There's no growth without movement, no success without effort, no transformation without consistent action. Your life changes in the moments when you decide to move, when you take that first uncomfortable step toward what you want, when you stop talking and start doing. The more you act, the more you learn that action is power. Action creates clarity. Action attracts opportunity. You don't find confidence before you act. You build it through action. And once you begin, momentum becomes your greatest ally. Momentum turns effort into flow, struggle into strength, and goals into reality. And suddenly you realize your best life was never waiting for you somewhere else. It was waiting for you to show up. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.